The latest from batshit bonkers Britain. Katie Hopkins on today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
Yes, and a very warm welcome to the Katie Hopkins Show on Monday, the 18th of December. We're really getting there, aren't we? Where I'm back at HQ, albeit briefly, before taking back to the road for my last speakeasies of 2023. Coming up in the show today, the Irish have had enough. And I am here for it. I'm here to celebrate them. If you're Irish or from Galway, get on the chat because you deserve a massive round of applause. We're celebrating Kemi Badenoch for being the woman we all need round about now. And we're talking Argentina, where Milei devalued the peso by 50%. That's hardly caused a ripple over here in Western Europe. And if you haven't seen what Jill Biden has done to the White House, you're in for a treat. We're here in glorious Technicolor at TNT, but you know what to do, good people. I may be in the driving seat, but you are the engine for this show. Do get chatting at tntradio.live. Here is how you join the conversation.
Katie Hopkins wants you to chat to her. Just go to tntradio.live, hit chat, and join your family chatting away. We're on the highway to freedom, where listeners drive the show. Today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
People piling on into Tribe, thank you so much for joining us. So tntradio.live if you want to join the Tribe on chat, or you may be watching us on the YouTube, as my mum likes to say. I saw you on the YouTube. Gosh, it looks quite tricky, she said. Looks quite tricky. Doing that for an hour on your own looks quite tricky. It's a really cute thing to say. And well done to Dean for another great show. Everybody really enjoyed Dean being back where he should be in his position of power. So much to talk about today and so many things I wanted to talk about. Oh, and I'm so sorry for missing you. Good morning, good evening, Tribe. Yes, exactly. We're all over the world. So do say good morning, good evening. If you're up for your wee break in the middle of the night in California, do let us know. Yes, I apologize for not being with you on Friday. I was right there, but I was failed somewhat by, turns out, central London. Who knew that it would need Wi-Fi? Richmond on Thames, one of the wealthiest boroughs of London. Who knew that someone would need Wi-Fi while sitting in accommodation with Wi-Fi? I mean, so I apologize for missing you. I'm very sad about that. I had a glorious time. I was with the Jolly Heretic. I don't know if you know him. He lives in Oulu in Finland. And he was over here. He's over here on his UK tour. He's a bonkers academic and he's hamming up the bonkers academia side of it at the moment. But I love him very much. He's a deeply intelligent individual. And just before me, I was piling on in to go and meet him and do our chit chats, was lovely Count Dankula. And we haven't seen each other for a long time. So that was a really lovely thing. Great to see the Jolly Heretic doing so well. And then out to dinner in the evening with a bunch of his supporters who I was the only loosely described female in the room of 14. And just so kind of just a glimpse into a whole different group of people who are with us, who are part of us, who have a completely different level of intellect, understanding, energy about them. So engineers, computer scientists, next level mathematicians, a lot of people from different countries, but acutely intelligent in a way that I will never be nor never understand. The gentleman next to me was glorious from Germany. And you'll know, if you know me by now, that I'm always terrified of Germans because they don't have a similar sense of humour to me, in the sense that nothing I say is ever funny to a German, which is also kind of funny in and of itself. I don't want to give away anybody that was there or whatever, all their personal details, but he works in an exceptionally difficult area of coding and computing at a very, very sophisticated trader, big finance organization. And his quote was, Commie California is with us. his quote to me was, yeah, but I'm really searching for something that will test my brain. So I was like, oh, right. So quantum computing and coding at an elite major investment house. This is child's play. This is child's play. and he's not being big-headed. He's being a bit German, but he's just basically saying anything regular humans or people like me are capable of doing this is child's play. This is for the children. So that was my dinner, and actually I really loved it. I was like watching a TV episode of people that are from a foreign place that speak a foreign language, have a foreign way of thinking, but you can't help but love them because they're on your team. And clearly we need all sorts in our future when we're going to be rebuilding our parallel universe that's already being rebuilt. Right, 3 top stories out of the UK today. Mustn't get too waylaid, must I? The Irish. We're starting off with the Irish. I don't mind how long we take. Do let me know on Tribe, TNT Radio.live, if you're joining the conversation. Let me just show you while you see me looking over here. So I follow you along here. Look, Wales is in the house. Who else is here? Phil. Big Phil's here. Heather's here. You see? I know who's here. I can see you. So I'm. If you see me glancing over, that's me following you along. And my plea, always my request, my enthusiasm is that it isn't my voice that we listen to. And you know that, okay, I'm the one sat here, or I'm the one on the stage, or I'm the one generally gobbing off somewhere. But the point is that all I'm supposed to be is this kind of conduit for regular people, I think. And regular doesn't mean that you fit. Regular means regular weirdos like myself. So therefore, disagreement, alternative views, opposite views, full-on pushback to anything I say. Also facts, helpful. I'm often calling out for Tribe to provide me with facts that I should have researched but haven't, and they do. So if you'd like to be part of that, go on to there, or you can watch along, or you can listen along, or God knows what else. What else is going to be next? We're probably a sing-along. I don't know. The boss will probably get some sort of sing-along channel. TNT OnlyFans coming soon. Don't think I'll have a job on that. The Irish. Let us celebrate. Are you Irish? Please go to the chat. If you're from Galway, please go to the chat. I owe someone a pint, quite clearly, and a little bit more than that in Galway. If you're not, and you haven't heard about the story, you don't know what's happened in Galway, let me sit back, get yourself a coffee, like me. Here we are. And enjoy, drink the tears of the left, those who seek to damage and harm our countries and watch them fall. Sip from the tears of the Muslim Council and all their allies. Sip from the tears of those who profit from the trafficking of human flesh, which is heads of churches, heads of political organisations, and heads of charities. And the chief rabbi, I'm looking at you. Sip from that cup, because the Irish have this is an allegation on my part. It's not been proven, obviously. I mean, we can't speculate what may have burned down a hotel that was destined to be filled with illegals next week, can we? No, none of us can say. I mean, a lot of the gas leaks in Ireland could have been that, couldn't it? That burnt that illegal immigration hotel down, owned by Americans. It could have been. I mean, it could have been fireworks, couldn't it? That burnt the hotel down. A lot of fireworks about this time of year. You see it. Sometimes when they go up, right? Could have been that, right? What else could it have been? Could have been, maybe there was a cat, right? Maybe there was a cat in Ireland, in Galway, that was on fire. Set itself on fire by its own arse. Could have happened. Gas, cats. And the cat then walked into the hotel and burnt it down. I mean, that's the theory I'm going with, if I'm honest. I mean, it could have been that someone just torched the bloody thing because they don't want more illegals in their places. But, I think to say that would be slander. Love you, people of Ireland, French farmers, Dutch farmers, Blade Runners, Canadian truckers. I just love, I'm just saying, there's not a day that I don't say I love the side that I'm on. Which means I love all of you weirdos out there. Let me just read you the tears of the Irish. Not the Irish, our Irish, but, the others that we don't need. Galway hotel fire condemned by Taoiseach as FF councillors criticise asylum housing policy. This is me drinking the tears of them. Hold on. Tasty tears. The Gardaí believe the fire near was set deliberately. I am not having that. My theory, it was a cat. It was a cat that's arse was on fire. Leo Varadkar, the same guy who, what did he say the other day? Oh yeah, about the Israeli hostages. They were lost and now they are found. Like they were a suitcase that BA failed to put on your flight, has condemned the suspected deliberate setting of a fire. Well, that is pure speculation right there. My cat theory is much more solid. At County Galway on Saturday, which was being prepared to accommodate 70 asylum seekers. So for asylum seekers, we can just read illegals, can't we? Because that's just a term that's made up, a bit like grooming gangs, a term made up, or honour killings. Oh, how very noble. How very noble you set your wife on fire. Right, because you wanted another wife. Oh, how noble. Asylum seekers. We'll just mark off all the bull sugars in here. Mr. Varadkar also strongly defended the government's policies on refugees, illegals, and asylum seekers, illegals. Sorry, that's me just changing this. He said while there had been a step change in the numbers coming into Ireland. Oh, hold on a minute. How many euphemisms can you put in one article? I mean, that's a challenge right there. We could do this as a competition, couldn't we? That's a euphemism. There's been a step change in the numbers coming into Ireland. No. Ireland has been invaded by illegals brought over by heads of churches, heads of political organisations, heads of charities who profit for every pound of human flesh that they transfer, because slavery is more alive and well than it ever was. So at the same time you pay reparations to black people for slavery. Slavery is probably in numbers never seen before in any time in our history. And either way, he's deeply concerned. It follows, get this is the joyous bit, right? I'm looking at Tribe. Illegal aliens, to be precise. Oui, c'est ça. Voilà. Don't know why the French. Number of arson attacks in Ireland. Now, bear in mind, people, that I am very clear that all of these fires, including this last one last night in Galway, Saturday night in Galway, were set by cats with fiery arses. Maybe cats don't go so well on Irish food, and it's all a bit, bit gassy. So I'm just going to read out the number of fires that have clearly been set by highly flammable cats in Ireland. These have occurred in Moxville, County Donegal, in Ruski, please help me, County Roscommon, please tell me if I'm mispronouncing, I'm not trying to be offensive to the Irish, I love you at this point, and last month in Rosslare, County Rexford, and now Galway. Mr. Varadkar said, I can't say his name properly because I loathe him, there's no justification for the violence or the arson or the vandalism in our republic ever. And this, of course, my darlings, is where we step in and say, yes, there is. Yes, there is. And I have proof. I have proof that there is, not that we're saying anybody set these fires, obviously, we're saying that it was a cat with a flaming arse, but yes, there is. Yes, thank you on Tribe. Well done, Dean. Dean has found us the fiery-arsed cat. So evidence. There is evidence. That is what we're saying. There is already evidence that a fiery-arsed cat blew up illegals' accommodation across Ireland. I think we should go with that theory hard. Let me tell you. So Mr. Varadkar, the leader, who's wetter than a lettuce that's been left in the fridge for 2 months, there is wetter than the average modern male. There is no justification for the violence or arson Now, before we go to commercial break, let me prove to you that there is. And it's this. If you're not watching Glorious Technicolor, I don't blame you at all. But this is what I carry around with me on the road. I carry my passport, well, in a bag, my go bag, which is ready by the door, always. Passport, constitution, cash in different currencies, dollars, medication of a variety that can get me anywhere. The Constitution of the United States of America. Now, you can say Katie the Irish is not American, but, essential principles of the Constitution of the United States of America. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. So God-given rights. This is what sets Americans apart. And these rights are life and liberty. And the key one for me that I keep kind of reinforcing, the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Declaration of Independence, United States of America, 1776. They get their power from the consent of the governed. And that, my darlings, in 20 short minutes here at TNT Radio, proves that Varadkar and all those forcing illegals and the takeover of our countries by the caliphate proves that there is justification for arson, there is justification for vandalism, you Les Blade Runners. There is justification because they lost the consent of the governed. And in 1776, greater men than any of these morons knew that to rule over people, you had to earn their consent. And that has been lost. It's been lost universally, it's been lost in every country, and it's been lost specifically by these weak individuals who are crippling their own countries and their own people. And that is why today is a day of Galway celebration. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm cheering them on. I don't care what he gets me arrested for. Come at me. Bring it. Come to my door because you won't be being let in. I don't care. You can call it hate speech. You can call it, incentivizing riots. You can call it what you want because I know what it is, because it's the truth. You don't have the consent of the governed. You don't have the right to enforce illegals onto people who have had enough. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing, which is essentially cats with fiery asses setting fire to hotels owned by Americans, flogging their hotels out to the government for cash, and all of you lot are profiting on it. Oh no, I thought I was throwing my script, but I threw the Constitution. Wait, I have to pick it up and dust it off. I love it very much. Darlings, we're going to go to, studio's trying to tell me to go to break. And let me tell you what happens if someone starts to try to tell me to do something. It's likely that the very opposite is going to happen. So studio is on a sticky wicket there, just going to say, because you start telling me to do stuff, I'm telling you now the opposite will happen. But we will go to a very short commercial break, only because it is some people's favourite part of the show. So, must have been that global warming that's setting fire to the Irish hotels. Yeah. Global warming, forcing cats out of their natural habitat with flaming arses. Yeah, I think that's totally what it was, actually. We're going to go to a short commercial break. Or when we come back, we've so much to talk about today. Can't even believe it. Never got to any of the other stories I wanted to tell. I want to talk about Kemi Badenoch. I want to show you, let's come back to Jill Biden's horror story of a Christmas. It makes me urge. There's urging. We'll come back with that. And I've got loads. I want to talk about the peso. I've been trying to talk about the peso for a week. No one cares. I'm going to make you care about the peso. So go nowhere or I will find you and I will break your legs. My name is Katie Hopkins and this is TNT Radio.
We're rolling. It is my pleasure to present
Katie Hopkins on today's News Talk, TNT Radio.
Yes, my darling, we are back. Well done to everybody piling into the chat and having your comments, laughing along. The cat with the ring of fire. Hold on. With the ring of fire. And that burn, burn, burn. The ring of fire. That's right, isn't it? That's what you're saying on chat. Yeah, I'm just trying to enunciate for you what they're saying. But I think the idea is it's a cat with a burning ring of fire. And that's the theory. So that's what we need you to push today, is that it's scandalous that our good side of pure people are being blamed for fires in Ireland. And what it actually is a cat with a burning ring of fire that's going into these buildings quite clearly. It's probably been forced out of the undergrowth by global warming. We can't possibly speculate. We can't possibly say, but also go on, the Irish. The chief of the Irish Muslim Council. If I could... We could do a 6-hour special on what the Muslim Council have done to me over the years. So the Irish Muslim Council called the Cat Bum Fire a shameful act committed by an extremist minority. Oh, hello. Well, there's a truth right there, right? We are a minority. But the interesting thing about being a white minority is that you don't get any minority rights, right? So when it was BAME, what was it? Black... African, black, African, minority, ethnic. BAME. What was BAME? Someone help me on Tribe, please. The interesting thing about BAME and all of the minority policies and, we need to be, they need to get preferential treatment because they're a minority, is that when it's us, and by us I mean me, when it's minority whites, when you become minority Christian whites, London, Luton, Bradford, Leicester, I could go on, the list is endless, you don't get any rights. You only get those minority rights if you're minority ethnic and your ethnicity isn't the ethnicity of the nationality to which you were born in the country you are trying to live. Don't even get me going. Anyway, he says it's a shameful act committed by an extremist minority that tarnish our nation's image. Oh, hello. Hello, our nations. My nation, these good people's nation. It's lovely that you want to come here. It's always been my beef, actually. Can you see how I'm never going to get to the stories we're supposed to be getting to? We are going to talk about Joe Biden in 2 seconds. We're going to play it in glorious Technicolor. But it has always been, for 20 years, which led to my great erasing from the face of my own country, is that we tiptoe around the cultures that choose to join us. And we do not stand up for the cultures they chose to join. So when people come to our country, we have to tiptoe around their culture, their language, have translators, have English as a third language in London primary schools, provide everything, bend down, bend over. I would take it up the arse, but clearly that would be rude. But we don't stand up nor defend the culture that they chose to join. And the other reason I had to be eviscerated from the face of the planet 20 years ago, well, 15 now, is I would ask, if Muslim countries are so great, if Islamic nations are so great, why is it that Muslims always come to Christian countries? If being a Muslim culture is so great, if being Islamic is so great, why don't you go there? Why come? And of course, the answer is because the actual mission is the takeover of Western Europe, which is happening very successfully. But for asking those questions 15 years ago, I mean, it's a joy now the world has started to catch up. But those are the questions no one can answer because, of course, the truthful answer is an answer no one wants to hear. And it's the Muslim Council operating with meticulous strategic discipline that have been integral to the takeover of Western Europe. So much so, the Notre Dame burns down and these jokers get away with saying, maybe it was an accident. That timbers that have been around since the dawn of time, I mean, not that long, but you just got to hold a lighter under what? Maybe it was just a bit of dust on a timber that's been around since way before our grandparents. Maybe that's what set that fire off. Yes, sure thing, right. A certain group of people would love to see our country go up in flames. So the cat is actually doing them a favour. I'm very happy that we are now absolutely certain about cats. Cats have been burning down pubs in the UK for the past few years. There always seems to be a building developer in the area missing his cat too. That was the pub, wasn't it? The Crooked House pub. Buggers bought the bloody thing, known for being wonky. Next minute, pub's on the floor. I mean, it's shocking, really. Shocking. Shall we take a look at the Jill Biden Christmas? What shall we call it? Horror show. So for anyone who's not kind of accustomed to looking at these things, Melania, in my personal opinion, did a gorgeous job. And the idea is that the First Lady gets to walk the world through the White House at Christmas. And it's, it's tradition. It doesn't matter if you can't stand Melania. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Go back to any of the First Ladies. Nancy Reagan. The First Lady walks the world through the White House, and the world gets to look on and be filled with nostalgia and a sense of security or family, or a sense of pride, or a sense of Christian meaning of Christmas, or I don't know, whatever you want to take from going through. I personally love twinkly lights. I personally love Christmas. I love that people put the decorations up early. I think if you can find joy somewhere, find it. I love nostalgia. I love tradition. And I love the White House's immaculate perfection about everything. What you've seen I ought to go and get what I'll do in the next break is I will get my very favourite Christmas decoration this year and bring it to you, as long as I can make it there and back. But anyway, it's so perfect, the White House, that's why I love it. And then this year, Jill Biden. And I have to say, there are so many levels that I loathe. And bear in mind, I love weirdness. I love dancing. I love music. I love people being wacky weirdos. I love that stuff. But this is so wrong. If you're not on the YouTube, my mother would say, or you're not if you're not in Vision, now may be a good time to have a look in Vision, because we're about to play the horror story that is the Jill Biden, I'm going to say sex fest. Can I say that? That's what it feels like. It feels like pervy, weird, creepy, holy doody. I just turned up at a party I don't want to be at, and that guy thinks he's going to bang everybody. You know what I mean when that happens in life? Everyone's like, no, Katie, we haven't turned up at those dinners. I have. You turn up at a dinner, you look around and you think, this isn't what I thought it was. Like, I turned up at a dinner once, and the gentleman that opened the door, who I have to say was quite remarkable, but in stature, in all departments, holding a silver tray of champagne glasses, and he was naked to the waist, and then he had on a little white, immaculately starched, I mean, if you're military, I was drawn to the starched apron, which was from the waist down, but short. So he opened the door, buff, champagne glasses, just a little apron. And I was like, oh, I thought I was here for dinner. And then he span round, and obviously it was completely naked. It was just these buttocks, and then, the rest of what you could see. I'm just going into some memories that we don't probably need to go into. But all I'm trying to say is, if, like me, you've attended dinners that you thought were dinners but turned out to be a bit of a, I don't want to say nosh fest, TNT, but that's what this weird Jill Biden freak show feels like. Shall we take a little look at it and get away from my bad stories? Okay, take a little listen and look at this. Oh, my lordy, lordy, lord. Someone's saying, is it raining? So if you're not watching this in vision, I don't blame you whatsoever. So let me paint a picture for you. So open scene. So normally it would be this lovely Christmas music and you would see the trees decorated beautifully. You know, normally this now, first shot, opening shot, straight to camera, straight down the lens, super close to the lens, a black lady tap dancing in a kind of clown outfit. And then in from the right comes a guy with a massive friggin' flower on his head, dressed in the worst colour purple you ever saw, just sliding across the shot. And then another black lady comes into vision. And then in the far corner of the shot, another person who's either black, gay or trans comes into shot and starts tap dancing also badly. And the reason it sounds like rain is because they can't even get their friggin' dancing together. That's what really disturbs me as well. The tap dancing is off, which is why you hear the tapping outside the beat of the music, which if like me, you have an acute awareness for peripheral noises that distract you. That's also why it's, and then some other ghoulish weirdo who's too fat and definitely doesn't tap comes in, and then a lesbian holding hands with a gay ally comes across. You don't get to look at the blooming decorations. You don't get to see them. You just see these obnoxious gits who can't dance very well getting in the way, and all you can think of is what the hell is going on at the White House. Like, it feels like they've all been snorting Hunter Biden's cocaine like for the last 6 hours, you know, on repeat. You expect a cut shot to Hunter Biden just sniffing a line up his nostril to kind of like applaud it on, or Kimberly Guilfoyle to come screeching out, realize she's been caught on camera and run in another direction. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if they cut to a shot of Joe Biden in a corner, you know, sniffing a kid's ear oil, eating a chocolate ice cream while slowly crapping himself, you know, and then maybe unfurled to, I don't know, Obama, maybe quietly banging someone, because at least that's what's gone on in one of the Senate rooms just now, right? Someone got caught banging another guy in a Senate room. Oh my God. But it wouldn't surprise me if they got Obama banging someone in the corner of the shot, and all of that is supposed to celebrate Christmas. I mean, call me a traditionalist. Call me, you know, old-fashioned, but I quite like it when we have a traditional Christmas. I don't need to see, in a non-racist way, I don't need to see a whole bunch of black people tapping inside the White House. And if anything, you know what? I think that is racist in itself. I think this is the most racist Christmas White House you ever saw, because it just stinks of plantation thinking. Look at me, says Jill Biden. Look at me engaging these nice black people to dance for us in the White House. Look at me keeping everybody on the plantation. Look at me signaling to black people that they shouldn't think for themselves or wonder about anything, and that they're a bit shit at tap, as it turns out, this lot. Like, just get some proper dancers in. Get some proper ballerinas doing ballet. I get it, right? It is plantation mentality. It's what the left rely on. You're this, you're that group, you're that minority, you're that person. Like Clinton, she never had a single policy. She just went to every victim she could find and went, if you're a victim, vote for me. And it wasn't enough. And that's what Jill Biden does. That's why this thing is racist. It's why it's a freak show. And it's why the sooner we get that lot out of there, the more hope there is for America, which still has its Constitution and its Second Amendment. And thank God for that. Darlings, there we are. Don't worry, we haven't finished the show, although it sort of feels that way, right? Time goes so quickly. Let's just see what Tribey. Just before studio start nagging me about taking a break. And I want to get my Christmas decoration to show you, don't I? I'm trying to see what Tribe is saying. The minstrel show. Your version sounds a lot more interesting. Dancing like it's Hunter Biden's New Year's Eve. I must watch it back. People also still talking about the cat arse inferno. I think that's important that we keep that debate alive. Cat arse inferno, affirmative action in full swing. And we have a bunch of people here on chat today. So thanks so much for joining us back here. It's good to see you guys back, and it's nice to have Tribe coming back to Tribe again. So thanks very much. I do appreciate you sincerely. What we're going to do, I must bring you Kemi Badenoch. I really want to talk about the peso. I know, it's surprising, but it's true. We're going to do both those things. And I do have a funny story I wanted to share with you as well. So much to do, so little time. So we're going to take a tiny break. Will it be that weather dude? Because he's been not very chipper, has he? It's the only weather you've got. Who knows? But either which way, go now or I will break your legs. My name is Katie Hopkins and this is TNT Radio.
Katie Hopkins on today's News Talk, TNT Radio.
Yeah, so I promised you that in that break I would whiz and get my favourite decoration, which I did. I bought this in Palm Springs in America. One of my favourite places on the planet, even though it's massively lefty, there is a real beating red heart there. Palm Springs is the middle of the desert. You're surrounded by desert mountains. It's impossibly hot. It takes the air out of your lungs for how hot it is. I mean, it is everything a desert is supposed to be. And yet there's this little strip of brilliance in Palm Springs. And I love it. And actually, when I was there last, it was during... not sure if it was last, but anyway, I was there during lockdown when you weren't allowed to be in America. And for a little while there, I got a little rundown and pretty sick. So I went to Palm Springs to recover. This is the Christmas decoration I brought there. I said bought, not brought. And the reason I love it is twofold. One, because it's jazzy. Two, because it involves, if you're not watching in vision, I don't blame you, but it's a massive glitzy pair of lips with great teeth, which obviously, you know, just like mine. And a cigarette. It's actually brilliantly done. More brilliantly done is how the bloody hell I got that back from the US without breaking it. But the reason I love it, you could say, oh, Katie, we shouldn't be encouraging smoking. I plan to take up smoking as my New Year's resolution, just because it feels rebellious, just because, you know, old age never appealed. By far the most interesting people are the people outside of doorways, smoking in the darkness and the rain. And also because this notion that we're being told what to do all the time, as I say, I can't help but do the very opposite. A very flawed way of thinking, but still somewhat splendid. So let us just briefly, may we do Milei? Can we talk Milei? I think we have a little Milei clip. So we're going to take a little listen to this clip. Think about what it would mean if tomorrow, when you woke up, £1 or $1 or one of whatever your currency was worth half. Imagine overnight, your government, whatever it is, decides your £1 is now worth 50p. Take a little listen to this.
With a promise to end years of decadence and decline, far-right President Javier Milei was sworn in on Sunday. In his inaugural speech, he expressed the hope that change has finally arrived. But he also warned the country the next few months will be difficult.
There's no alternative but to implement austerity. This will have a negative impact on jobs, salaries, poverty. There will be stagflation, but it's not very different from what we've seen in the past 12 years.
Present at his inauguration was Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, also attending ultra-nationalist Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and Brazil's conservative former President Jair Bolsonaro, in line with Milei's ideology. Juan Ángel says he's ready for what's coming next. He carries a chainsaw, which became a symbol during the campaign of how Milei will implement austerity measures in Argentina.
Milei will pass a series of laws immediately and reform the taxes that suffocate us. He says, how can we have all this land that grows so much food and the state takes away 60% in taxes? People are poorer every day.
So this is Milei cutting the peso by 50%. And people say, oh yeah, cutting the peso by 50%, blah. But literally it means that tomorrow, if it happened here, everything, so any money you have is worth half. Any cash you have will be worth, well, actually, you could transact on a separate currency market, but cash would be worth half. Stuff sitting in bank accounts, worth half. And so if you go to the supermarket, you can only buy half as much. So it all sounds incredibly punitive. But Milei says I say all this because it is better. Hold on. It is better to tell an uncomfortable truth than a comfortable lie. Ooh, love that. I also love that clip so much because of the lady, the news anchor that's like, the presidente. It's not what's not to love. And I also love, so it's going to be horrible for a while. It's going to be horrible for poor people. It's going to be horrible for people in terms of just going, hey, wait a minute, what went on? But they face 150% inflation as it is. They're maniacs with a deficit. Argentina is so incredibly poor, apart from the elite few, that something had to be done. And the public sector has just got overwhelming in size. It's very much like Macron's France. And you can say, all right, piecemeal by piecemeal, you can try and rebuild it, try and patch it up, try and mend it. Look what we do with our NHS. Just keep throwing money at something that's broken. You're never going to repair it. So this is a different approach, and more people should be watching, because it's basically like they said in that news report, this is just a dude walking around the streets with a chainsaw. It's what he promised to do is what he's going to do. And I know people will be on the tribe. I haven't even looked, but I know there'll be people saying, he's a globalist, he's this, he's a bad guy, he's a bad guy. I say to all you people with all your theories, he's a conspiracy theorist, he's controlled opposition, pick me your better one. It is pointless to just call someone a monster unless you've got a better monster available. Remember that, right? When you're coming out with your theory that so-and-so with me is controlled opposition or paid for by Israel or a shill or whatever, which is always bollocks, but people like to think they know more about something, whatever. Anyway, he has cut 9 government ministries at a stroke. Vroom. Took the chainsaw straight to them. Boom, gone. He has cut 34% of public sector jobs at a stroke. Vroom. And I believe this is precisely the kind of methodology we require in the UK. Someone bold to come in and cut the lot, cut the NHS to the core, get rid of every single manager inside the NHS. Unless you're going to be dramatic and drastic, how are we ever going to get out of this? And one day I think this will happen. But all eyes should be on Milei. All eyes should be on what happens with the peso. And all eyes should be on whether he can hold the will, the consent of the people, whilst punishing people with a regimen that feels cruel in order to recover. Can the patient withstand the medicine? That's the question. Now, my loves, I'm torn. Let us go to Tribe and check in what Tribe says. Because I really would like to play you a clip of that dude with the chainsaw should have been in the White House video. Hey, we've just come up with a whole new Christmas ad for the White House, haven't we, right? So you have the White House video by Jill Biden, you have Hunter Biden doing cocaine in a corner of it, you have Obama banging some dude in the other corner, and then you have a cat just wandering through the shot with a ring of fire, and then you have some dude with a chainsaw shouting for Milei, just hacking down the trees, and maybe the odd person doing a sort of chainsaw massacre. Let us play. So this is going to be a partnership between Studio and myself. So Studio, wakey. I want to just give you a mere soupçon of my plan of what I wanted to talk to you about Kemi Badenoch. If you know Kemi, she is one of the good guys in the House of Parliament. You could probably count the good guys on one finger. But Kemi Badenoch is doing a lovely job. So I want to play you one clip, if I may. And it's going to be, for Studio's benefit, clip 4, so the second of the Badenoch clips, where Kate Osborne MP is caught in a lie. So it's basically one of these pathetic kangaroo courts in the Commons. Kemi Badenoch's there as if she's at some sort of trial. She's standing up for her right to push back against the trans madness, and some dreary lesbian-looking woman who clearly keeps cats, hasn't had a shower for a few days and has got crap hair, is trying to humiliate Kemi Badenoch for pushing her back against the trans mafia. So you have the decent woman going, it is madness what's happening to our kids. You know, it is madness that there is an epidemic of this trans ideology, right? So Kemi is talking sense. and it's being positioned like she's the evil, and this dreary-looking lesbian woman with crap hair is basically trying to say, you're scaring me with your hurty words. So what we'll do is, just in celebration of the fabulous woman that is Kemi Badenoch, whom I love with my soul, let's take a listen to clip 4, where the dreary lesbian tries to catch Kemi Badenoch out by lying about what she said. Take a listen to this.
Language, you seem to not include yourself in that. You've made statements that contradict some of the best available evidence, including the government's own data. For instance, the LGBT survey that showed that there's no evidence of trans in a way the gay, but substantial evidence that trans people were at twice the risk of being exposed to conversion practices. And you've also made these statements using inflammatory language that likens children and young people coming out as trans to the spread of a disease.
I've never said that. That is a lie.
Well,
that is a lie. And I think you should withdraw that statement. That is a lie. You are lying. You are lying.
I'm not lying to you.
You are lying. I have never ever
you
used the word disease. And I think this is exactly what I'm talking about. You are making statements in the select committee that are untrue.
You've just called me a liar.
Can I just remind the Minister that is unparliamentary?
Right.
Language
What she has said is not true. It's not true. And we have to use facts in this room. We can't just make stuff up. This is what I'm talking about.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I just don't think that your facts necessarily...
When was that statement made? And where?
So this is the government's own data.
No. You
survey.
said I used the word disease. When?
I don't know. Did you?
Of course I didn't.
Well,
and so you don't even know where that came from. Where did you get that from? Where did you get that from?
I'm not here to answer your questions.
Yeah, because you don't know. Because you don't know. It is not true. And you should not be saying that in this committee when you don't know where that statement came from.
I'm not calling you a liar. You called me a liar.
Can we please make sure that both of you use parliamentary language, please? I won't have this degenerate.
Well, I will not have my name maligned by people making false statements about me. That is not true. We have to do better than this.
I absolutely agree with you, Minister. We have to do better than this. You yourself used the word explosion in response to an earlier question about the numbers of young trans people, and then didn't produce
any referrals to gender identity
explosions, but you haven't provided the data to back that up.
I'm sure we have that data because we know that I'm sure we have that data.
Can you provide the committee with the data?
I'm sure we can. I'm sure that we can provide that data to the committee. I don't.
Oh, so good, so good. And just an example of and how it often is set up. So you end up, with a panel. I find this so often. I'll be invited on something, and then you go on. So someone, Patrick, Bet, David, whatever, we invite you on the show. You go on the show, and there's a panel. And it doesn't matter to me that there's always a panel of boys. It matters not. But there's a panel of them, and so you can be having a debate with one of them. They're losing so badly that the rest of the little mob decides to join in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh hey, I thought we were here for a chat, but evidently it's just me against some sort of shooting squad. But Kemi holding her own brilliantly, challenging the dreary lesbian to say, look, that is a lie. That is a lie. And then being asked to use parliamentary language. You know what I would have done at that point? If it was that is a lie, I would have gone, that is a bastard lie. Is that parliamentary enough for you silly moo? Okay, my darlings, you know what's happened. The sands of time have fallen faster than ever. Go nowhere, stay with TNT. My name is Katie Hopkins, and this is TNT Radio.
To hear a replay of this hour, go to episodes at tntradio.live.